I work with a lot of executives, I work with entrepreneurs, I work with job seekers. People who really know themselves well are the ones who are very successful, and there's a reason why. They can articulate who they are, what they're about with ease, and they're very deliberate in the actions that they take. So, when I say get to know yourself, there are three basic things. And I do this across the board. I've worked with high school principals, I've worked with corporate CEOs, I've worked with nonprofit folks, entrepreneurs, on these three questions alone. And most people struggle with these, and it drives me crazy. What are your values? Most people cannot tell me what their values are. Your values are what guide your decision making. What are your intrinsic assets? What do you bring to the table? Like, clearly and articulately, what do you bring to the table? And then, of course, what are your passions? And I'll get into what that means in a second. Values. When you're in uncertain times, what do you need? You need a compass. You need some kind of guidance. And what I have found is people who have a good, keen sense of their personal values make the right decisions. And they know where to go. They know where they're drawn. These are very hard questions, and I'll tell you right now, most people have a hard time doing this. But always, always, you need to be able to at least list your top 3 to top 5 core values. Because when someone asks about, tell me about yourself, what you're about, you should know what your values are, what guide you. And the best way, the best simple litmus test is this. What are you willing to fight for? What are you willing to sacrifice for? I always tell my girlfriend, what are you willing to pay for? And then, what are you willing to spend time on? Because you can't get time back, right? You can get some of the other things back. You cannot get time back. Intrinsic assets. These are the things that you showed up on this planet with and that you've gained ever since. And I'll tell you right now, I've worked with, I used to design and develop interviews and interviewing processes, personality assessments, the whole 9 yards to screen people. We would always look for personality. And you need to be able to understand how to talk about your personality, how to talk about it as an asset, how to describe it, how to use those adjectives. There's all kinds of tests and stuff online you could look at, but it's important to know what that means. Your affiliations. Keep in mind, especially in this digital age, what you affiliate with is what people know about you before they meet you, right? So they're going to make assumptions about you based on the groups you belong to on LinkedIn, companies you've worked for in the past, any clubs, extracurricular activities. They're going to form opinions about you based on your affiliations before they ever meet you. And if you don't have a keen understanding of what your affiliations are and what they say about you, you're already at a loss when you walk in the door because they've made assumptions and decisions about you. So know what they are. Pay attention to what they are. Contributions. Everybody's contributed something. I've sat down with individual coaching clients. They're like, oh, I'm like, stop. Don't minimize. You've all done things. Whether it's writing a paper, whether it's volunteering, everything is at play right now because what you want to do is go through that life deck of 52 cards of all that you've done and pull out the winning hand that's going to make sense for that interview, for that job. Right? You're going to play different hands for different games. But you need to dig in. What happens is as we get older, we get blinder. Right? We think, oh, you know, what I did before isn't as relevant anymore. Did you do it? Do you have that experience? Learn how to talk about it effectively. Experience, I think we all know this. This is a very standard resume type of thing. Relationships. This makes me really crazy. Most people do not effectively even have an understanding of who they even know. The job market has and always will be about who you know. And if you don't grasp this fundamental concept, I cannot help you. It's about making connections, but also it's about figuring out, and I'm going to actually talk about this 1 o'clock this afternoon, but who those trusted referrals are, who are the people you know, but also who are the people that you need to know. I'm a big believer in joining professional associations, going to meetups. As a great example, the reason I'm here, I'm new to New York, only been here since August. I went to a local meetup for recruiters. I met Amanda Augustine, job search expert for the ladders, and here I am speaking to you guys. I decided to go and show up and chat. And she's been fantastic, and the ladders have been great. Awesome organization. But that happened because I took initiative and decided to go meet people and make contacts. But I was very deliberate about it. You got to do the same. Think about who you need to know. Where do they hang out? I'm a big believer in find people who have the you want, immerse yourself in their world. Go to wherever they go. Do what they do. Because you got to make those connections. And of course, skills, knowledge, abilities, very standard resume stuff I won't spend time telling about. Most people's passions are here, and their job and work is over here. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm ever going to get it to be perfectly like that, but we can close the gap. I'll tell you a great story. I was at a major job seeker event. It was 2 years ago. And the director of PR came up and she's like, Woody, give me a little snippet or something I could put in our newsletter, talk about this. I said, well, people need to be able to harness and demonstrate passion. She goes, that's silly. Give me something I can use. So it just so happens that the vice president for a major rental car company in charge of recruitment with a booth there overheard the conversation. He walks up to her and he says, I couldn't help but overhear the conversation. And she's like, yes, can you give me something I can use? He said, yes. How about this? I'm going to have over 500 people come to my booth today. Who do you think is going to stand out? Now, this is particular to his industry. He's like, renting cars is tough, and people can be a real pain in the ass when they're at the airport, right, trying to get a car. He's like, I like people who are excited about customer service and who want it. They're the ones that I remember. When I'm going through all these resumes, I'm making notes. I remember, yeah, that woman who was like kind of excited and enthusiastic. I need that person behind the counter. He goes, so if you think that doesn't matter, you're kidding yourself. It's all about how you demonstrate it and show it, though, in a way that people can get their hands around.